Okay, evidence retention. Okay. Which evidence to retain, all right, depends on the aspects and goals of the investigation. If you're trying to go to trial, right, well, you're probably going to need to save the data until that actually goes to court, and you may have to, well, you will probably want to hold on to it beyond that because there is an appeals process. So a lot of times the very first verdict may not stick, may not stay, and even if it's a solid verdict, there may be an appeal. Consideration needs to be given to the types of data that was collected as part of the investigation. PII has a limited, if you're not using it directly for your everyday business, there are regulations that dictate how long you can keep PII on your systems. So you have to keep that in mind. And if there is mitigating circumstances, like it's part of an investigation or as part of the evidence that you're offering, I'm sure there's extensions to that, and but you'll have to find out what those are. Excuse me. Was any confidential classified information collected? Wow, that's same sort of thing, right? If you do not have a need to know, but it was just evidence, and you need to find out what the disposition has to be for that kind of information. How soon do you get rid of it? There's certain ways to get rid of classified information. Some of it's kind of archaic, actually. You can actually take a hard drive and take it outside and take a sledgehammer to it and destroy the actual drive physically, and that's considered destroyed, which is very interesting. But you definitely want to find out if you have this type of information, PII and or classified information. There are strict regulations that deal with this sort of thing. So you'll want to make sure you understand those so you do not go against any regulations. In the case of damage assessments, data may need to be kept for extended periods of time, right, to figure out exactly what the damage to your organization may be. People are going to have to go through and figure out what was stolen and what may have been destroyed, actually, too. I'm not sure exactly if organizations do a great job of figuring out what files they actually had when they disappeared to prove, here's something that got damaged. But certainly if it's like proprietary information or intellectual property type material, then they'll know if this got stolen, how does that affect your market competitiveness and that sort of thing if you are a business. So it's key that you keep that stuff for as long as you need. Right, retention duration. Data and evidence retention times vary based on the organizational and legal requirements. Again, if the goal was prosecution, you definitely need to keep that evidence for as long as the investigation and until the prosecution is over, the court case is over. But again, like I said, work with your general counsel and find out if there's going to be any appeals, because if you have to keep that data any longer and you have to get some sort of waiver, if you happen to have PII or something like that, then you'll definitely want to find that out. Excuse me. Many companies and organizations have policies that dictate this too, or people have policies at their workplace. What sort of timelines do you look at for your documents? How long can you keep certain types of documents?
It all depends on the type of document and what the time span is. It could be, you can have it for a year or up to 13 months or beyond that, depending on what it is.
Okay.
7 years.
7 years? Oh, wow.
Yeah, for healthcare. Yeah.
Oh, for healthcare information, I see. Okay. Well, thank you. Disposal of evidence and data after retention period, and you have to sometimes, like I said, you can't just obviously throw away PII in the dumpster or something like that. So you want to make sure you understand the policies and regulations that dictate how to get rid of evidence, especially when it contains stuff like, or perhaps even healthcare type stuff, sensitive financial data, or PII. So information sharing. So after an incident, who should or could you share information with, right? Sharing investigative information, right? Certain aspects of your investigation could be helpful to other organizations, perhaps in your sector, if you're in a particular industry and you're getting targeted by somebody because of your industry. Maybe you want to share this information with other organizations, excuse me, or publicly in general, because that CVE and those other vulnerability databases, if you're finding something relatively new, maybe you'll want to share that sort of information. And if you find exploits that were used that aren't common, whether or not there are 0 days or not a big thing, but you may want to share that information to the public. Information on the attacker or their methodologies that can help others to detect them and maybe get them on the trail a little bit faster the next time. That's that threat intel piece, right? If you subscribe to a threat intelligence organization, they give you the list of things that are out there, they don't have particular names necessarily, but they do have some record of how certain actors do their business. Law enforcement and other government agencies may also ask for or require your information, depending on that situation. Information to be released must be looked at really hard, right? Scrutinized to ensure no sensitive data is leaked. So you don't want to give away anything, especially when you're talking about classified information or healthcare information and that sort of thing. But in general, our standpoint from my company is that information sharing is good. Do you all, with your organizations, do you all share information? If you're able to talk about this, is your company and or organization on board with sharing information if you find compromised information? Yeah.
Only what's required by law.
Only what's required by law.
Yeah, I mean, we have obligations to protect information like PCI cardholder data, head
Sure.
information, things like that.
Right.
So, I mean, if we can redact that information and share it, yeah, obviously we do that, but sometimes that effort to get all that information out there,
But in general, if it's possible and not
we can share it
unreasonable,
without compromising the data.
right?
Yes.
So if it's reasonable and not a tremendous amount of effort to get it done, then your organization is okay with sharing that. So that's a good thing. Okay.
I think sometimes too, some organizations don't want to share the breakage or the option of what actually happened because they don't want customers losing confidence in continuing the relations with them. So.
Right. That's true. That's very true. And some of the corporations that are publicly traded are afraid of their stock price and their shareholders kind of getting very upset because of the situation. But in general, I think it is a good idea.